Hey y'all, welcome back to True Historian. I'm Sean Browning, and let's talk about the USS Cole bombing, which happened on the 12th of October 2000. Now, Al Qaeda was claimed responsibility and was responsible for the USS Cole bombing, and they they planned this out for at least a full year, along with as they were planning the World Trade Center bombing or the 9/11 attacks. Now, let me start with this. The USS Cole, while I was on deployment in the Persian Gulf, was docking in Yemen, the Aden Harbor, which it had docked at 9:30, completed mooring. At 10:30 began refueling, and while it was refueling at 11:18, the small fiberglass boat rode up to it with two suicide bombers and exploded, leaving a 40 by 60 foot gash in the side of the port side of the boat, or ship, excuse me, rather, and it killed 17 when the explosion violently ripped up the mechanic area, right underneath the galley. Killed 17 while they were in line for the mess hall. But it also injured 37. The crew fought the flooding in the engineering compartments, with much of the explosion kit hitting the mechanical space below the galley. But for 3 days, they fought, and they were able to subdue the flooding. And divers inspected and found the keel was not damaged. Injured sailors were flown to Landstuhl, Germany, which is right outside Ramstein. This is a common medevac location when you fly out in that part of Europe and Middle East. The British HMS Marlborough had came and was the first ship to provide assistance after it radioed and was accepted for its response. It was the first one on the scene. And other ships came later to help out. Marines, Air Force, French Air Force, all came to assist the USS Cole. Now, the USS Cole was a guided missile destroyer. The HMS Marlborough, which of the British Royal Marlborough, was a, believe it or not, Type 23 frigate. Now, as I said, the Al Qaeda was responsible for this attack. They claimed responsibility. The Yemeni parliament was calling jihad on America. Which is Yemen is, as everybody knows, is the third or fourth biggest area of harboring and headquarters of Al Qaeda network or Islamic extremist terrorists. You know, behind Iran, Iraq, and obviously Afghanistan. And Pakistan's up there as well. Now, back to this. The USS Cole bombing was the deadliest attack on a U.S. naval vessel since 1987 when the USS Stark was attacked by Iraqis. Now, and as I was saying, I'm backtracking. They planned this attack on the USS Cole in January of 2000, right around at the same time, they were planning the attack on the World Trade Centers and the Pentagon on 9/11. In fact, the mastermind, or one of the masterminds of the attack on the Cole, was a hijacker on Flight 77 when he died there. No one could apprehend him. He had flown from the meeting to San Diego, doing his training or whatever in San Diego, and then flown to visit his wife on vacation in Yemen, because he lived in Yemen. And his house was actually a hub, one of the biggest hubs in Yemen for Al-Qaeda. Even bin Laden bragged about this attack later, saying that he wanted more, as he put it, asymmetric warfare attacks. Now, if you're wondering, how does a small fiberglass boat be able to roll up against a big destroyer? Well, the UN has certain rules of engagement while in international waters. You have to be able to positively identify the threat before you can fire. The Pentagon and everything, and the Pentagon and all that, they enforce it and they hold it. There's no fire unless fired upon. So the bombers, they had the C4 explosives, the 700 pounds of C4 explosive, hidden in the boat, so the sentries on the ship could not see it. But also, they didn't have guns with them, and they weren't shooting at the. So obviously, they weren't shooting at the USS Cole as they were coming up. Had they had weapons as they were heading towards it, the sentries on the ship would have been able to deter the attack, or been able to fire upon that threat, because that would have made them a threat. Now, we know commonly some Somalian pirates are known to do that. So the thing is, don't forget that with the Geneva Convention and how the UN operates in its bureaucratic ways, enemies unconventional, which Al-Qaeda falls under, and most terrorists do, they don't wear a normal uniform, but also they use the Geneva Convention against us, which handcuffs our sailors, our soldiers, our air force, our airmen. But not only us, but the British, the French, they fall under and a lot of other countries that honor the Geneva Convention. They, basically set us up for failure, the UN, because they hold us fast to it. And actually, the captain and the ship, different sentries on the ship, the officer on duty, actually said in a quote, the UN, we would have been in more trouble for those 2 foreigners killed than for the 17 that died from the bombing. And 13, So this is why we need to be strong against terrorism and hold them with a firm hand. All right, have a nice day.